Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Unlocking Venture Capital. I'm here with the founder of Fibra. So, hi, congratulations, and thank you for coming on to our podcast. Please tell us about what you do.
Yeah, for sure. Hi, I'm Parnian. I'm founder and CEO at Fibra, and we are developing a patent pending smart underwear for women's health and reproductive monitoring. I'm very excited
Excellent.
to be here.
Yes, we're so excited to have you. So, I'm going to do our screen share so you guys know how that works. We're going to go through the deck, do a pre-due diligence of the deck, and then Parnian's going to come back at the end to answer any questions. But this is really just the exercise of how when you send out your deck to investors or their investment committee, you are not in the room. You are not in the room to really go through anything with them. So everything in your deck kind of has to stand as is. And so this is a really great exercise to be able to work with founders, as to be able to work with the entire ecosystem as a whole, and kind of go through what the investors usually look for and what we usually dig a little bit more into. And so I really love this because this is a great space. We don't have this in our podcast just yet, and is just really loving this product. So thank you so much. So the first one is okay, so elegance meets precision. Unveil your fertility potential when with stylish elegance. So yeah, so that makes sense. So it's something that is telling me that it's discreet, telling me that it's going to be comfortable, and telling me that it's going to be in the femtech space. Okay, perfect. So, women's health platform. So, imagine a world where women would have access to the right information at the right time in the comfort of their homes. Okay, great. So, I do love that because it tells me that right away as an investor that they're going usually through the direct to consumer route. So, I'm going to figure out why, we're going to figure out what they see in the market, and we're going to go and kind of go through that user journey with them. And so, here you see the fertility, pregnancy detection, pregnancy monitoring, postpartum monitoring, contraception, menopause, reproductive system, disease detection. This is a world that Fibra is creating. And by solving this, we are developing a proprietary monetizable database. Okay, perfect. So this is really clear because it's kind of giving me that rising action storyline of where they're going to go towards profitability and how they're going to become a sustainable business, which right now, as you guys know, in today's market, it is a little tough when it comes to fundraising. So we do put the challenge back onto founders and talk a lot about what is the foundation of your business? How is this sustainable through good and bad times? Okay, so she gave us a story. Okay, great. So we live in the 21st century. Yes, she has to pee on a stick or insert something for ovulation data. Okay, yep. These are the feelings that the user journey is going through. So it tells me that there's been a lot of customer discovery and customer, questions and surveys through probably primary and secondary kinds of surveys and information research. So that's really good. Ovulation strips. So yeah, so she's also telling me a little bit, which I'm gonna guess that later on in the slides, telling me more about what the competitor is going to look like, because she's telling me here in terms of setting the stage of what the current situation looks like. And here we see the other brands that are currently on the market. So if you're familiar with them, it kind of just gives you a spark of, okay, this is what we're talking about. This is what we're looking at. So 4-in-1. Okay, great. The cycle leads to 80% failure of getting pregnant every month. I did not know that. So telling me a little bit about the market is great. I would have liked to see a little bit more about the market in terms of the number of people that it affects. The percentage tells me a lot, yes, but the overall number and the growth in that kind of problem and the growth in that market would also be super helpful as well. So data-driven analytics for fertility tracking. Okay, so app provides this. Okay, so she's giving me a dashboard of what the app looks like. So I really love those, especially when it comes to direct to consumer, because it gives me an idea of exactly what it is that I'm looking at. I would have to zoom in because I cannot see it. Okay, here we go. Okay, so pH level, temperature. Okay, great. So it looks like it is pretty easy to use. Oh, that's funny. This icon is an underwear. Okay, and okay, accurate, daily, fertility chance, page, secret chat. Oh, okay. So there is a social element to this. So that's really important because it kind of addresses the other psychographic types of needs that she talked about at the very beginning. So it does kind of come full circle. There are a lot of decks where they tell you a bunch of needs and then don't solve the problem. So that's kind of why I'm saying it like that. You always have to make sure you do come full circle. So the investors are not getting confused of where your journey is trying to tell them to go. So it's a comfortable underwear. Okay, great. Worn specific nights, months. Okay, great. I'm wondering if there probably will be in the future, if there are other styles, if there are other sizes, and kind of what that goes through. So she'll probably either tell me that later or I will have to ask. But just because, when you kind of see one product as is, you do have more questions about like, is this a fit for me? Is this a fit for all sizes and all situations and styles or things like that? Okay, so what it means. Because the other way to do it is to have the device but be insertable in all underwear, which is a little bit tricky because underwear is not like multiple layers usually. But that's the other way to do wearable tech, of course. So what this means, having access to their reproductive data and fertility, discreet, automated, non-invasive, hassle-free. Yes, so that tells me a lot about what the solution is going to be. And that makes sense because I have a visual of what it's doing. Okay, what I don't have right now is the accuracy. And they may not know that at this stage, so that's okay. That's something that I would probably ask in the second iteration, or this not second iteration, the second pitch, when they go kind of through that technical due diligence phase. Product, patent pending, good. I will ask to see the patent. Okay, current accuracy is 85%. Oh, okay, you do have the accuracy. Hey, look at that, that's amazing. Okay, so volume changes. I have no more questions. Vaginal discharge, skin temperature, heart rate variability. Okay, good. Because I am not a doctor, I will ask the founder, why do I need to know my heart rate? So I'm sure she has a very good answer because this is like half of the monitoring system. Okay, sensors. We fabricated textiles. Okay, great. Yes, that makes sense. My other question would just be like, in terms of, because you had to like fabricate this on textile, does it work with all different textile or does it work with like only cotton or those kinds of things? Like how does it affect the monitor system? Future applications, bacteria, STD, post, yeah, this makes sense. So it does make sense that they're kind of going through, okay, this is, the next applications and iterations. If you wrote it in a different way, I would have written it as like a timeline, which they might do at the bottom anyway, because you can do it in terms of milestones and kind of future, you need this much in order to produce these kinds of features, for example. So yes, okay, so this is what it's trying to do. Oh, the heart rate is for pregnancy monitoring, preeclampsia. Okay, so this is great. All right, perfect. Skin temperature, pregnancy detection. Okay, so this is fantastic. So I'm reading it as though this is all one thing. So like each column is related and associated to each other. So I'm reading it as, for example, pregnancy monitoring is directly what the heart rate and heart rate variability is supposed to tell me. I would like this to be higher. But of course, everyone would. That's kind of why we need to invest in femtech because there's not enough investment and there's not enough work in that area yet. So received 75,500 from Canadian government to submit more patents and further refine the IP strategy. Okay, great. So they said that this is patent pending, which tells me that they've already applied for at least one patent. I'm going to assume it is a utility patent. I'm wondering if this 75,500 is to protect that same patent or for more different patents. And if it's for different patents, great. Just tell me what they are. There's an appendix for more detail. Okay, good. Maybe that's where I'll learn. Now it is the time. Okay, so all right, so this is telling me more about the problem in the market, so that's great. So irregular menstrual cycle has increased by 65% over the past decade. I would like to know why that is. That seems like a lot. Women are postponing their pregnancies to focus on their careers. So that does make sense. It is a societal change and societal trend. For the first one, I don't know what that, like why that is. So I would love to understand the study on that. One thing that founders could do is also just like link to the study, like directly in the PDF. And that would also be helpful. So if you gave links to, I mean, of course, we're going to do our own due diligence in terms of secondary market research, but if you do link to cases from like Mayo Clinic or something like that, that actually is super helpful. And it would still be a great space saver because all you did was hyperlink. Okay. Consumers gravitation to data monitoring by wearables. Yes, consumers are very into wearables as long as it's proven to be not harmful. And I love how it is very on trend with what they are building, alongside with the consumer market being more and more accepting to wearables. So women have a higher tendency to own wearables and monitor data. Yes, it's true. Women love to know data about themselves, like a lot. I feel like it's more than just this, but I will take this because I have not researched it at this time. Fibra in the market, B2C, yes. So that makes sense. So everything that she has done is telling me that she's planning to go to the B2C market. So of course, as an investor, my question in the second pitch round would be, why are you not going to the B2B market? Is, so you must have some kind of strategy around that. You must have an answer around that. And I'm sure that it's going to be something that will be in discussion in the next round. So smart underwear, 3 to 4 pairs per year, $80 per pair. Why do I need so many per year? It is washable. Is okay. I'm sure she will tell me why. So if I were to guess, it will be that you are wearing it because you are either having your menstrual cycle or your ovulation cycle, and you needed to monitor at that particular time of the month. And that's kind of why you want a few, but only for that time. But what if you are having, those medical problems that will require you to wear it for longer? Or after wearing it for just like a week, are you assumed that you will have that accuracy that you don't need to like wear it all of the time anymore? Or is it something you should be wearing all of the time? Because as a venture capitalist, the more you sell, the better it is. And so, but also as a former climate tech investor, we don't want so much waste. I'm torn. All right, so the freemium app. So there's an upgrade for $5.99. Okay, so the price point does not seem crazy. I just want to know more about why 3 to 4 pairs per year and kind of what that's supposed to be about. And because there were so many different problems it could be addressing. Is it because this is the biggest problem, and of this biggest problem, which I don't know which one it is, 3 to 4 pairs a year would be enough because you're supposed to wear it a certain number of times? Or does just wearing it for a certain amount of time will tell you the answer to all of the problems? So that's kind of what I would be asking in that exact way. So that's how I would phrase it, in a way that would hopefully address all of the things that would have matched before. So in 1 year, it's this. Okay, great. Is there like a subscription model instead? Or is there a club or a membership or a community, those kinds of things? So there's lots of ways to kind of build around these kinds of solutions. So I would love to kind of see what's out there that Parnian is thinking about, and her team. So future revenue streams, sub-licensing, that makes sense. So NYX, Victoria's Secret, other wearable textiles, that makes a lot of sense. Shared revenue, fertility clinics, supplements providers, naturopaths. Okay, so what she's doing is that she's kind of going around all of the traditional paths. So now I want to know, why did you go around all the traditional paths? So like naturopath, supplement providers, those kinds of things, right? Did she go through some kind of friction when she went straight to hospitals or clinics or those kinds of things, or fertility clinics, or what's called? Yeah, fertility clinics. And so I would just wanted to know her journey, not because I think that's the right answer, but I just wanted to know kind of where you came to go about this. That is very difficult to address on a slide, though. All right, so Fibra's market. So the TAM, great, awesome. So women in their reproductive age. So women in their reproductive age, okay, so times 300 is a billion. Okay, great. So yes, that math does make sense. I want to know how this market is growing, though. So are there more people that are entering the reproductive age versus the churn rate of women that are leaving the reproductive age? And those women that are leaving the reproductive age, going through, menopause, perimenopause, hot flashes, those kinds of things. Does this product help them in any way? As in, can they keep using it for their current and new needs for one reason or another? I feel like there is probably something there depending on how they're building it, but I would like to know the full story, and I would like there to be a lot more detail in this part of the slide, because I don't get it. I want a more of a story than this. So this I could have gotten myself. So you didn't have to tell me the amount in the market, because you already told me the price point, which is great that you know your customer's price point. But what I don't know is the growth market rate and what your secondary markets might be. So this is your primary market only, right? So what is your secondary markets, and what is your, third market, and so on and so forth, and how do they all grow within time? Because the thing is that also you didn't tell me if this is like only the US or this is like the world. This is just a number. So I need to also then go back and find out more for myself. Okay, so this part is North America. 34 billion. Okay, yeah, okay. So this is North America. That is great. Your serviceable addressable market is here. Okay, great. And your SOM is here. Okay, good. So yeah, so like I said, I would just still want a little bit more information in terms of this. So you've given me the reproductive age group, but I need you to also give me the psychographic. So in terms of what are the issues that they are all facing and what is the breakdown of that. And if they're outside of this group, you know, are they still able to use it in a way that is helpful to them or not so much? Because one of the things that I know that generalists especially, so I'm an investment generalist, which means that I invest in all different categories, is that we tend to fall into something called pattern recognition. And that is both good and bad. So it's good because it does help our brains, you know, work in a certain way that investors kind of all go through in one way or another, right? In terms of, okay, what are we looking for? Does this make sense? What does the user journey look like? What does the competitive moat look like? And all of these things. But when it comes to things like market, we need to have as much analytical data as humanly possible to find out, okay, well, if we're going to invest in this femtech, you know, very specific and very important kind of product and solve this particular problem, how does that then take away an investment from somewhere else in a completely different category? Right. And if that market is going to grow bigger, that market is going to be much bigger, that market is going to solve bigger problems. It doesn't mean that this problem isn't important, but to a generalist and to a industry agnostic investor, you have to help us help you kind of a thing, right? Make it the path of least resistance when it comes to your market, because that's always going to be under the microscope when it comes to usually early stage founders at pre-seed and seed. So it's not like, how am I just better than all like other femtech products for this particular niche? Is why is this niche and market so important that it is gonna blow everybody else like out of the water? Okay, underwear roadmap. Oh, this is fun. No FDA required. Why is there no FDA required? Okay, prototype in-house. Okay, great. Okay, good. Okay, good. So it looks like there is traction and movement. That's good. Okay, so user testing with one subject that is done in-house. That feels small. Okay, I would like to know how thorough this one subject is if there is only one. So I would do kind of like a checkbox situation and be like, these are all the things that were tested. And this is why this one subject, you know, has all of these problems. Maybe not in that written in that way, but like something to tell me that you've tested multiple problems because you have multiple solutions. Validated the product works alongside sensory. Okay, yes. So from my understanding, what I'm reading is that you are validating that it does monitor your heart rate at 80%. It does monitor, you know, dryness at a certain amount of accuracy, and it does monitor these things, right? What I would like to understand is how does that then translate to, you know, all of the other things that we were talking about? And why did you choose this one subject and how that affects that one subject and what that kind of looks like as a test subject? So 10 subjects in-house. Great. Why weren't you able to test with more subjects than one is my big question. Because it seems like it's all you're doing is you're putting it on and wearing it for a certain amount of time, right? So there must be a reason. Because I feel like if I were in front of my investment committee and I told them that they did one test subject when you don't actually have to go through clinical trial, which is very expensive and time consuming and everything, for a direct to consumer, and you're competing against other direct to consumer products, let's say you're competing against like whipped cream, because that's a direct to consumer product, they will have 10,000 test subjects in the first month where compared to your one. So again, to a generalist investor, how are you making yourself stand out in this way? Because that one better be extremely thorough. So I love this chart that has all of these numbers to tell me exactly what happened. So, but what I would also love is that for this chart to have, in terms of the subject or the subjects, okay, the before and after, right? So you're telling me before, you're telling me what happened in the actual study. So then I can walk through, you know, their journey with them. They wore it for, you know, 5 days or 7 days or 20 days. straight. And this is what happened after. This is what so and so, did. And this is what we experienced. This is what we learned. And we learned that, she is pregnant or something. Non-ovulation value. Okay. These are in progress. Okay. Yeah. So I would actually put it more in context that I think would help you tell your story a little bit better. In-house validation goes up to 7. Great. I'm going to need to go through the appendix to know what that means. Okay. So the roadmap. Oh, good. We have an extension of the roadmap. Why did you give me the roadmap twice? You could have just given it to me once. So one slide could just be about the test and the other one could be the whole roadmap. You don't have to give it to me twice. Okay. Rounds of data collection, 5 to 10 subjects in-house. Okay. So it seems like that's what they're currently doing because that is the time right now between January and March. Pilot study, 50 to 80. Okay, great. It also maybe could be very expensive to create that one. I am not sure. Let's find out. Okay, so pilot study, 50 to 80. Okay, great. And we'll say market use, outsource. Okay, small batches, outsource. All right, so I would like to know who they're outsourcing it from. I would like to understand if the patent kind of protects that because that is things that could be protectable or could be copyable depending on how that is done. I also come from a manufacturing background where these things are kind of always being in terms of market entry. Okay, great. Yeah, so I would also like to understand if the patent has to do with specifically you putting that device in garment or you putting that device in specifically underwear or whatever the case may be, because there are ways to go kind of around that patent, depending on how specific or how broad that is and what it is that you're looking for. So I would also look more into that. There are other founders that just write specifically what their like the key line of what their patent protects, and that helps us understand better, not just like what they're building, but also where they're going. So scaling to 5,000 units. Okay, great. So at the end of this year, they're going to be making 5,000 units. I would like to know on this slide, what is their break-even point? That would be helpful. Well, I guess we can work it out because she gave us the amount per unit. Okay, so we can work it out. I just don't know how much the shipping cost is, I guess, unless this is a landed price. If it's a landed price, put brackets landed, please. Will work with suppliers and manufacturers to support the forecast volume. Yes, that makes sense. So in terms of the manufacturing, if you're manufacturing it overseas, which I'm guessing that is the case, you have to also come up with the lead and lag time of when your orders are going to be coming in. So kind of testing out to see, okay, well, how does that work? Where is your inventory going to be based? And I always suggest to the founders that I've worked with in the manufacturing space for your first several batches, even if it's like 1,000 units, okay? Bring it to your house. Bring it to your house and check every single one. Okay. Make sure every single one is perfect. Make sure every single one doesn't have like dust or like rips or anything in it, because what you are getting from the manufacturer is you getting it from the manufacturer. You're not getting it from a retailer with a specific brand, or you don't have like a return policy in the same way. If you do, it's going to take a long time. So for the first several batches, especially if you're a solo entrepreneur or if you have a small team, you actually can afford the time to do quality check with every single thing. Okay. Don't assume that the sample you're going to get, and always pay for the sample, even if it's 50, 100, $200 for one sample, just pay for the sample and make sure they have very specific notes on what you want changed. It's always going to be worth it to you, because the more you scale with any small errors, those errors are going to scale with you. Okay, great. So now we have to go to market strategy. Awesome. So you have the community, you have co-marketing. I love that. I would like to, there's also just from a marketing background, I would like to know what kind of marketing you do. Are you going to do TikTok kind of marketing? Or do you do social media? Or are you going to use influencers? I want to know all of it. Partnerships. Okay, so 10 partners. Who are they? This doesn't tell me anything. Okay, I would put logos everywhere here. This really, I want to know more. And phase 3. Okay, and also for all the phases, please put timing. So tell me it's going to be 2024 or a different date. So your previous raise, excellent. So tell me what your raise is. Please tell me that you're telling me how much you're raising now. I know how much you're raising. It's just that it should be here. Okay, so the go-to-market, overall sales. Okay, perfect. great. I would suggest on how you are doing that. If you are able to have this kind of information in terms of your co-marketing, you should be able to give me your CAC, which you should right here. Excellent. This is what she does. It kind of looks like, good, you do have a team of people. That's great. I would also just ask, like, who is the other co-founder, or are they all, part-time, or are they contractors and things like that? So I would just put that in the title as well. Strong team of advisors and mentors. Awesome. This is great. I love the way that it's written. It is very clear, and I like that there are logos there too. Oh, good. You're telling me how much you're raising. Okay, good. And this is what it's going to. So that is pretty standard. I did already read through this, so this does make sense. Excellent. Oh, these are the appendix. I do also really like having appendix to read because it helps me kind of piece things together in a much more clear way. Okay, perfect. So, okay, great. You're manufacturing in-house. All right, great. So thank you so much, Parnian. And please unmute yourself. And I would love to see what you thought of this experience and what you would like to address in your slides.
Yeah, for sure. This was super helpful. Thank you for that. It was really interesting that you brought up the one user and why the fact that we have one users. So the reason for that is because that was the very, very beginning of us having a product that could be worn. And we wanted to make sure that, because obviously you can prepare for something, but other stuff might happen which you didn't think about. And we wanted to start with that one user, see what are the items that we were missing, and then for the 5 user, which was the user testing right after that, then we would have been much more prepared, as opposed to going with actually like 10,000 users, as you said, which some companies would do. But
Yes.
yeah, and then right now we completed 5 users, which we learned a lot of items from. We had a lot of success, we had a lot of learnings to do, and that was very great. One of the items that we figured out with this round was that we spent a lot of time doing quality assurance on the items. And there was a few back and forth between us and the users because something was not working, so they had to bring it back. So we had a lot of learnings to do, and then we figured out that we had a lot of sensors, we had a lot of data, which are working fine and perfectly. So yeah, that was really good. Overall, it was a very positive experience. But that was interesting that you brought up the one user. So I have to be more clear on the fact that what are the items that we tested with with them. So that was one of the things. And then I really liked how you were talking about the market on the market size, because from my perspective, it's very clear. This is TAM, this is SAM, this is SOM. But when you as the audience is going through that, it wasn't that clear for you in terms of like how the market is growing. Like I had a number which was for femtech, but it was interesting to see that I should actually add more data.
Yes.
For what's the CAGR rate of the market, for example.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that is really important because not all markets are venture backable, even if they're important products.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I also liked how you were pointing out why do we need heart rate, for example. So one of the questions that you asked was, why do we need heart rate in the product?
Yes.
And with each of the parameters that we are monitoring, each of them have a direct relation with different phases of menstrual cycle and your fertility. And the reason that we are monitoring heart rate is actually because it has a very good correlation with fertility, and it's a good indicator of ovulation. So it's increasing the accuracy of the product a lot. But it was one of the comments that I had was to put the future application at the top, and then be much more clear with the accuracy that we've achieved so far. Because we have it like very with a small font in one of the slides. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think that makes a lot of sense. And you can see like the way that, I'm going through it, you are addressing for a lot of the questions that are like right underneath and everything, because that is the way that we would normally go through it. So yeah. And then in terms of like, just think about it like if you were not raising your seat, but you're raising like, I don't know, like a later round, okay? Would you go back and say, this is our first subject? Or would you go back and have like different updated information? Like this is the accuracy that we now have. This is the information that we now have. This is, the most up-to-date kind of trials that we have done. And this subject or these subjects were so, and so, right? Because the more you are providing that kind of, clinical information, first, the more you will be questioned. That's no doubt, right? Because they'll be like, oh, okay, what if I'm not that age? Or what if I'm not that size? Or what if I'm not like this, right? Does it affect me? And you have to be able to address that for sure. But it gives them also that chance to kind of see like, okay, well, this is the broad range of things that can be addressed based on what I'm testing. Does that make sense?
It does, yeah. It
Okay,
makes a lot of
excellent.
sense.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. And yeah, and so I also really love that there are so many charts. I like charts. So
Nice.
this is really great. Okay, perfect. Yeah, so thank you so much, Parnian, for joining us on another episode of Unlocking Venture Capital at this deep dive session. So thank you.
No worries. Thanks for having me. It was great being on the meeting. Thank you.